entire purpose of affirmative action, set-asides, civil rights laws, laws that limit constitutional rights to freedom of contract, freedom of association, all of that was to make up for the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow. So unless these benefits are going to, roughly defined, foundational Black Americans, the descendants of American slaves, you've taken away the whole purpose of this. So to make the point that Kamala isn't a foundational Black American, I'm always pointing to, unless these benefits are going to, roughly defined, foundational Black Americans, the descendants of American slaves.
African Americans built this nation. You built this nation. You're just starting to get real credit for that. Okay, I don't know if you know that. You're just starting to you built the nation. We all built it, but you were such a massive part of it. Bigger than you were given credit for. Does that make sense?
That show me subscribe.
Make no mistake, we're the only black people in y'all that only eat rat, eat cat people. You ain't black, you ain't that. Matter of fact, your black is repo, I'm taking it back. Cause y'all making it whack, faking jacks y'all from the slave, raiding the tax. Bitch. We built the foundation, our innovations were groundbreaking. You ain't wanna get down, now you around, hating, faking, with the linear in and out, the ground shaking. Someone say, FBA, we don't run away. We stay, we slay, we pray, we say, Someone say, FBA, we don't run away. We stay, we slay, we pray, we say, mistake, we're the only black people and y'all the only eat rat, eat cat people. You ain't black, you ain't that. Matter of fact, your black is repo, I'm taking it back. Cause y'all making it whack, faking jacks y'all from the slave, raiding the tax. Breaks, pause, pause. We built the foundation, our innovations were groundbreaking. Y'all ain't wanna get down, now you around, hating, faking, with the linear eating, now the ground shaking. Someone say, FBA, we don't run away. We stay, we slay, we pray, we say, Someone say, FBA, we don't run away. We stay, we slay, we pray, we say,
As you see, family, like the video, give last. We got songwriter. We have Let's Get It, $1.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Yeah, man, we about to switch it up. Some like I said, people email me all the time. I have thoughts about certain things, and a lot of times it be rabbit holes in a good way. Peace, Claus and damn, it be rabbit holes in a good way, meaning that you have a thought about something that's questionable. Like, hey, why is that happening? Then you go ahead and research and you think you get your answer, you're done. But the answer opens the door to something else. Like, wait a minute. There's something behind that door. Okay, let me see why that's happening. You research that and you think you're done, but then there's something behind that door. So you're like, wait a minute, don't tell me this thing goes a long way. Like there's more, and there's a conservative effort behind this. Like so black people predominantly living in one city leave somehow not there anymore, and it's filled with Hispanics, and that's not just coincidence. That you mean there's something influencing that? Like, that's like make believe. Like, nah, hell, that can't be. It can't be that. It can't be that crazy. Is it? Peace, the big cheese. So let's get Dr. King thoughts on Puerto Ricans coming into the urban cities. Yeah, yeah. I be family. I be researching. You dig? And family always send me links. Pinky Wells and other folks send me links, and they're there. They're there. We're getting around to it. I had to exhaust one topic. Now we're moving on to different topics. Back to the, we can't leave any topic alone because they're all important to address. We can't ever let tethers, gain momentum again. But yeah. So I got the links. I'm building things. I'm building research behind it. So don't worry. It's coming. Fresh always. Peace to you. All right, so Dr. King is going to be asked 1959 because I believe the Puerto Ricans came, I think 1940s. I believe they came into the country en masse. All right, let's see.
Is not sufficient to overcome these sort of fixed attitudes towards people and practices in dealing with people in our American communities. Now, since 1954, we have witnessed considerable migration of Negroes from the South to western, midwestern, and northern cities, and also some immigration from Puerto Rico, of Puerto Ricans into some of the eastern seaport cities like New York, Philadelphia, and Jersey City. Does this in-migration of rural, sometimes agricultural Negroes and Puerto Ricans to northern industrial communities pose any particular problem for these areas and for the leadership of the minority groups in these particular cities?
I think so. I think
I
wherever
think
you have a good deal of
I think so. That's the answer. And he's going to clarify. It ain't as bad as you think, but yeah, the answer is yes. It problematic for leadership for these minority quotations groups.
my
And Puerto Ricans to northern industrial communities pose any particular problem for these areas and for the leadership of the minority groups in these particular cities?
I think so. I think wherever you have a good deal of migration, you do have some problems emerging. And I'm sure in our large urban areas in the United States, with a good deal of migration taking place daily and weekly and monthly, there are some new problems created. There is always this problem of urban dislocation. And this happens to individuals of minority groups, which poses for the leaders in urban communities a real responsibility to help the individuals moving in adjust to urban.
Uh-oh. I thought we didn't help. Uh-oh. I thought we didn't help immigrants adjust to these urban cities. Okay.
Of minority groups, which poses for the leaders in urban communities a real responsibility to help the individuals moving in adjust to urban life and to new situations. I think also that as we seek to help these individuals adjust, we must see that the system itself is changed to the point that there will be no discrimination in employment.
Oh, so not only did we roll the red carpet out, give them an air mattress and a pillow and a blankie, we also seen that laws don't discriminate against them. The nerve of these folks, man. The nerve.
And that adjust to urban life and to new situations. I think also that as we seek to help these individuals adjust, we must see that the system itself is changed to the point that there will be no discrimination in employment and that type of thing, so that these people will not face a problem of finding doors shut in their faces every time they make a move. This type of thing creates within the individual a sense of bitterness, and it often drives the individual to criminal habits and other things that tend to distort the total structure of society. So on the one hand, we need good leadership to help people adjust to urban life as they move in from situations, rural situations often. And on the other hand, the community at large must see that these people gain equality of opportunity in the area of employment and in the educational area. So
wow. So we were seeing too that they get access to equal employment without discrimination and equal education without discrimination. That's what we were doing. We were behind you guys, hoping and pushing you to your success. And Ray Ray said we made a mistake, and that's what it's looking like. Big, big, big mistake.
that they will not develop these internal attitudes of bitterness, and they will not develop criminal habits, which tend to grow out of a sense of frustration, poverty, and ignorance. I think so often.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. That's why a lot of them being picked up by ICE.
We fail to see that poverty and ignorance breed crime, whatever the racial group may be. So that these things are environmental and not racial.
Dr. King, you.
Environmental, not racial, but African Dream would say that's wrong, and the average conservative as well. Let's take you back down memory lane with this crazy woman. Hold on. I hate when it does
Educate
that.
people about
Okay.
what immigrants do for this country,
Okay,
or the fact.
So we're not going to pause. What they do for the country. Interesting.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right, right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands. You're not. You're not. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation.
So she equated immigrants looking for work and better opportunities in America to be successful, to picking cotton. Okay, first and foremost, foundational Black Americans didn't choose to pick cotton. We were enslaved. So as a bad faith analogy, it was horrible. Even after slavery ended, many of us were trapped in exploitative sharecropping systems backed by racial terror, KKK, convict leasing, lynching, Jim Crow laws. No comparison. There were no legal protections for us, no freedom of movement for us, and no path to wealth or citizenship through labor for us. Now, let's compare. By contrast, undocumented immigrants often cross borders voluntarily for economic opportunity, Jasmine. As a matter of fact, let's read this together. I do. I love when we can read together. Let's keep Jasmine on that screen. Okay. All right. So for economic opportunity, while they can be exploited, low wages, poor working conditions, is still not the same as legal chattel slavery, Jasmine. And unlike slavery, their children aren't legally bound to a system of inherited labor, their children become citizens. So they're sacrificing. So this historical weight and trauma of cotton picking is not something to casually equate with immigrant labor. You know, people quick to disrespect this. Okay, where are the ice raids actually happening? Are they happening on cotton farms? Okay, so you're right, unbiased Ron, to question this. Most televised ice raids are not on farms or cotton fields. Instead, raids mostly occur at meat packing plants, places that FBAs would love to work at. Restaurants, we'll work there too. Construction sites, you know we'll work there. Factories, they pay decent, or private homes. Okay, there is little footage of ICE agents dragging people out of strawberry fields, orange orchards, or cotton plantations. Jasmine, look at our crazy net screen. Okay, in fact, farm owners are often protected from scrutiny because agribusiness has political lobbying power. Many farms rely on undocumented labor for profit and don't want enforcement. ICE has been criticized for targeting urban immigrants instead of corporations. So the idea that today's undocumented immigrants are out there picking cotton and getting arrested for it is not supported by any evidence. Okay, so that's a false equivalency. Slavery doesn't equate to undocumented labor. Let's be clear. Okay, so now let's deal with it. The category labor. When it comes to FBAs, historically, it was forced slavery, sharecropping. How about labor with undocumented immigrants today? Low wage, voluntarily employment. Citizenship denied until Civil Rights Act 1964-68. What about citizenship for them? Many seek, some get it through pathways. Category legal protection, none. Live under racial terror. What about them? Partial, some protection still vulnerable. Wealth transfer, systematically blocked GI Bill FHA redlining. They're mixed, some build modest wealth. Immigration enforcement, not applicable. arrest arrest by ICE, deportation. So never, 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 ever, 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 ever compare or associate what they're dealing with what we already went through. Okay, watch this. Trying too hard, trying to flatten these two realities into one oppressed labor class erases the unique suffering and legal obstacles foundational Black Americans have faced across centuries. Okay? Why this comparison falls flat? Foundation Black Americans were forced to build the country for free. Undocumented immigrants choose to come to the U.S., often seeking opportunity. And some anchor babies, 14th Amendment citizenship. ICE is not raiding cotton fields, that's a myth. Comparing the two obscures the historical trauma of slavery and redirect sympathy away from foundation Black American struggles for justice and reparations, right? You're undermining it, saying, yeah, do these Hispanics on the and you know that's being exploited, do they deserve reparations for this? It's not that bad, right? This ain't do reparations. So foundation Black Americans, you did something similar, so you don't deserve reparations either. So while the intent may have been to draw empathy, it undermines the unique legacy of anti-Black oppression by folding it into a broader immigrant narrative that simply isn't the same. A real demographic and political shift that has happened in several U.S. cities over the last few decades. Los Angeles. Okay, so that's going to something else. So that's my next note. So let me just tackle that. Okay, Jasmine, you've been bad. You've been very, very bad. Okay, so what is this right here? No. So let's come back over here. Let's do that because I want to have this as the backdrop as I read going further. Okay, so the topic is the quiet gentrification of how immigration replaced FBAs, why they get help and we don't. Okay, so let's go into it. Okay, so let's read together. A real demographic and political shift that has happened in several U.S. cities over the last few decades: Los Angeles, Houston, Chicago, New York, Atlanta suburbs, etc. If I stop while I'm talking, that's because I feel a cough coming on. This isn't simply about who has more money or education. It's about structural forces, policy choices, and opportunity pipelines that interact differently for Foundation Black Americans and Hispanic populations. Okay, let's break this down step by step. Okay, so demographic and immigration policy factors, mass, mass, mass immigration after 1965. The Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965 ended the old quota system that favored European immigration. Okay, so it's all about immigration before 1965. This is what we helped to establish with our civil rights movement. Okay, now after 1965, it opened the door. So the civil rights movement opened the doors to immigrants from Latin America, the Caribbean, and Asia. So for these three groups to sit there and say we didn't do nothing for them, it's just disrespect in the worst way and cannot be forgiven. Okay, so population momentum. Hispanic communities grew very quickly due to both immigration and higher birth rates. What happened to, it's interesting in our communities, they promote prophylaxis, and they should, but they didn't do it for them. They let them go crazy with babies. So these babies at high rate, uh, this changed the cultural and political makeup of cities. Okay, what the hell? This changed the this changed the cultural and political makeup of cities. Interesting, and that was well. We'll find out why. All right, so geographic clustering. Many immigrants move into low cost neighborhoods with available rental housing, right? Often the very same places where Foundation Black, damn, I clicked that by mistake. So geographic clustering. Many immigrants move into low cost neighborhoods with available rental housing, available right there. Often the very same places where Foundation Black Americans were concentrated, especially after white flight. Over time, this can flip the racial majority in those neighborhoods. This available rental housing. I wonder if they had to deal with housing discrimination from this available rental housing. Economic forces driving black out migration. So the industrialization in the 1970s, 1990s, factories closed and middle class jobs left urban cores. Black workers who were heavily represented in manufacturing were hit especially hard. Yeah, in order to for this to be successful, I didn't mean to click that. In order for this to be successful, this got to happen. Okay, so rising house costs, this got to happen. Gentrification and speculative real estate development pushed up rents and property taxes, pushing many working class black families to cheaper suburbs or out of state entirely, reverse migration to the South. This got to happen. Crime spikes in the 80s and 90s, you know about that, combined with harsh policing, sometimes made staying in those neighborhoods feel unsafe or unlivable, encouraging those who could afford to leave to do so. Right, because they don't want to be dealt with being harassed by the police officers. So this got to happen. Programs and resources, uneven access, and awareness. Now here it is. This is going to be the golden nugget. Targeted outreach. Many immigrants, serving organizations, and nonprofits receive government or philanthropic funds, especially to help newcomers integrate ESL programs, workforce training, housing help. So look what they get. Look what they get. We would deny that. Look what they get. These same resources are technically available to Black residents, but they are often not marketed to them or are designed with immigrant communities in mind. So this is the trick bag family. they'll say, hey, it was available to you guys, and they will prove it. They will prove it. It was actually there. But they're not marketed. They are often not marketed to us. So we don't know anything about them. We got to go out our way, go to websites, you know, and whoever is in the know got to tell us and, you know, that type of stuff. But these folks, they got targeted outreach. They go out looking for them. We got to look for it as individuals, but these outreach organizations go out there looking for them. Say, hey, look what we got over here. Political leverage. As Hispanic populations grew, they began to wield more political power, which led to city councils, school boards, and mayors prioritizing bilingual services, Spanish language outreach, and contracts that benefited Hispanic-owned businesses. Information gap. Black residents often report not being informed about development programs, small business loans, or housing initiatives, even when they existed. So while immigrant networks spread this information rapidly through tight-knit community networks, see how that goes, family? It's there, but they make it where it's not, you know, they don't make it their business to go tell us about it. So therefore, we don't take advantage of it. But it's there though. They'll say, hey, because it'll come off as it wasn't there. Hey, look at these guys. They got these homes and cars. We like, they just got here yesterday. How they driving a 2025 Camaro? You dig? Damn, he owned a house already? He was just living in the basement of Joe 6 months ago. Now he owned a house? Okay, so this was going on, family. Perception of replacement, structural versus intentional. This feels like a replacement plan, quotation, but it is usually the result of overlapping forces rather than a single coordinated conspiracy. However, politicians do sometimes favor immigration because it brings in younger, cheaper labor and can stabilize the tax base, which directly can lead to displacing longtime Black residents. Okay. So the labor market dynamics, employers in construction, agriculture, and service industries have sometimes preferred hiring immigrants. What Black jobs they take? They don't take Black jobs, prove it. Labor market dynamics, employers in construction, agriculture, and service industries have sometimes preferred hiring immigrants because they accept lower wages or are less likely to unionize, a dynamic that can push out Black workers from those jobs over time. Yes, I hope this is resonating. Political and ideological dimensions. Vote building strategy. Parties and politicians often see immigration populations as new constituencies to court. There's an incentive to invest in their communities to secure future votes.
We begin here with this breaking news, another immigration raid at a Home Depot.
And border czar Tom Homan today said federal authorities will ramp up raids across the country. Eyewitness News reporter Carlos Granda joins us live in the Westlake District with the very latest. Carlos?
And that's right. This is where it happened. This is the Home Depot where we have seen at least 3 other raids since the last few months. It all happened here in the Westlake District. Now, people here say that this morning agents actually came by and grabbed people that were waiting outside this building, the Labor Day Center. On video, the moment when the unmarked vans drive into the area, and within seconds, agents jump out.
A lot of people running up and down, people tripping over themselves, people falling, people people frantic, people trying to find safety, not knowing if they're going to be grabbed or not.
It all happened outside the Carecen Day Labor Center next to the Home Depot. This surveillance video shows how it all unfolded. Within seconds, they launch gas canisters. One person tries to run and is chased by an officer. He falls down, gets up, and still tries.
Yeah, this one looked like a plantation, Jasmine. I don't see anybody picking cotton on the concrete.
To run. This man says he saw the agents and screamed out, "ICE is here." He says they came out with weapons and masks, and we found several empty gas canisters in the area.
Bro, they got raided right now.
It's the same Home Depot where just a few weeks ago we saw agents jumping out of a truck in the so-called Trojan horse raid. This comes as White House border czar Tom Homan pledged this morning an increase in raids all over the country.
70. Okay. All right, let's get back. So let's get back. So vote building strategy. Parties and politicians often see immigrant populations as new constituencies to court. There's an incentive to invest in their communities to secure future votes. You see this? Crazy. Black voter assumptions. Because foundational Black Americans are seen as safe, Democratic voting bloc politicians may not invest as aggressively in winning them over every election cycle, leading to a feeling of neglect. You see? Oh, you bitty, you done. Get out there and vote. No, because you look at us as safe. You don't look at us as investing aggressively. Okay? Diversity optics. Some cities and corporations like to showcase immigrant success stories as proof that the system works, sometimes to deflect from deeper issues facing foundational Black Americans, systemic racism, generational wealth gaps. Why this matters? This is not just a demographic curiosity. It affects political representation, economic opportunities, school systems, and cultural identity in those cities. Without targeted economic development and political mobilization, foundational Black communities can lose influence even in places they once dominated. So shifting urban demographics, how immigration laws, economic decline, and urban policies overlap to produce a demographic shift. This is crazy. So 1965, right after that, then look, right after they passed immigration, now all of a sudden we got the deindustrialization, loss of manufacturing jobs in urban areas. So this is where we became unemployed. Okay, this had to happen. So now from the 1800s to the 1990s, urban decline, rising house costs, crime, and gentrification. Okay, today shift from Black to Hispanic population in cities, mass immigration, economic decline, urban policies, overlapping factors, unpapping. Okay, so now let's go further. Let's go deep into how unauthorized immigration specifically interacts with the demographic and economic shifts we talked about earlier. Let's break this down. Okay, so role of undocumented immigration in neighborhood change. Okay, for one, population growth amplifier. Undocumented. So now I'm just focused on undocumented immigrants, no longer documented or both. Now just exclusively just undocumented. Undocumented immigrants make up a large share of Hispanic population growth in many cities, especially from the 1980s and 2000s. Los Angeles, Houston, Chicago, Atlanta, etc. So a lot of these folks are undocumented. Their arrival accelerated the demographic tipping point in certain neighborhoods, shifting them from the majority Black to majority Hispanic more quickly than legal immigration alone would have. Wow. So in order to replace this, They had to influx us with the undocumented, not the documented, because the undocumented arrival can accelerate the demographic tipping point in certain neighborhoods, shifting them from the majority black to majority Hispanic more quickly than legal immigration alone would have. So, why would a foundation black American be against ICE? That's just crazy to call us to help. That's crazy that we would even talk to each other like, hey, yo, ICE, ICE. Okay. Ice cream. All right. Housing demand. Many undocumented immigrants settle where rent is cheapest, often in historically foundational black American working class neighborhoods. This creates demand for low cost housing, which landlords sometimes exploit by packing more tenants per unit, driving up rents and displacing long-time residents. Informal labor market. Because undocumented immigrants are often locked out of formal employment, they work in informal economies, day labor, domestic work, construction, subcontracting. These jobs often undercut union wages, indirectly reducing the bargaining power of foundational black workers who previously filled those roles. So they're undermining us at every way chance, the illegals. So, they got a lot of subcontracting work, the vans, the little. Anyway, we doing good? Okay. Economic impact on black employment. Employer preference for immigrants. Employees sometimes prefer undocumented labor because it is cheaper, more flexible, and less likely to organize unions. This displaces native born workers, disproportionately affecting foundational black American men who were historically concentrated in low wage but unionized sectors, janitorial, meatpacking, and construction. See, these are literally our jobs. So when we say, hey, they're taking on jobs, or Donald Trump said they're taking black jobs, well, what's a black job? Janitorial, meatpacking, and construction, to say the least. Wage suppression. Economists debate how much this drives down wages overall, but there is evidence that in low skill, labor intensive industries, wage competition increases, making it harder for native black workers to maintain jobs or move up economically. Okay, so now we're going to focus on legal versus illegal synergy. So, anchor communities, undocumented immigrants often rely on legal immigrants or early arrivals to provide housing connections, jobs, and community support. Over time, this network effect strengthens the immigrant presence, builds businesses, and increases political leverage, which shifts city priorities, signage, city programs, school curricula towards serving those communities. Political representation. Once the population grows, political districts are redrawn based on total population, not just citizens. So these folks just living in your city, they ain't even citizens, and the districts are redrawn. It's based on total population, not the population of citizens, not the not the total population of citizens. That's crazy. So they're being counted. So this boosts that's kind of like the three-fifths compromise, or they call them I think these guys are called phantom constituents. Okay, this boosts representation and resource allocation to immigrant-heavy neighborhoods, even if many residents cannot vote. That means public resources may shift away from historically foundational Black American districts if Black residents are moving out. Now let's talk about the language, because none of them want to learn English. When I was growing up, they tried to, it was a considered effort to try. Okay, so Barry as a retention tool. Check this out. Ironically, not speaking English can help keep immigrant communities economically and culturally intact because, you see, so not speaking English does not hurt them. It helps them. It builds reliance on each other, creating dense ethnic networks. It pushes cities and nonprofits to create bilingual programs, which reinforce the community's ability to function without rapid assimilation? Why many don't learn English quickly? Economic survival mode. Many undocumented immigrants work long hours in jobs that don't require English, so they never get exposure or time for ESL classes. Generational strategy. Some families focus on the next generation learning English, their children, while adults maintain Spanish for work and home life. Institutional accommodation. Cities with large immigrant populations often provide government forms, school notices, and healthcare information in Spanish, which lowers the pressure to adopt English quickly. So, kiss that goodbye. Why this matters for foundational Black American communities. Resource reallocation. When cities redirect funds to meet immigrant needs, translation services, legal aid, ESL programs, it can feel like long term Black residents who still face structural inequalities are being ignored or left behind, no longer prioritized. Culture and political shift. Over time, this can create the impression that the Black population is being replaced rather than supported, even though what's happening is a combination of demographic math, economic displacement, and policy priorities. It's crazy. Just to let you know, this is my research, something I put together. Immigrant enclaves often seem far more resistant to. Look, check this out. You say, wait, why do Black cities always get gentrified? Why don't Little Italy, the middle of Little Italy, why don't they get gentrified? Why don't Little Haiti get gentrified? Why don't Little India? Why don't Little Senegal? Why don't Little the Spanish cities ever get gentrified? Spanish Harlem. Why is it always foundation Black American cities that can get gentrified so easily? Immigrant enclaves often seem far more resistant to gentrification than historically foundational Black American neighborhoods, which are often among the first to be targeted, our neighborhoods. This is not just a coincidence. There are structural, economic, and political reasons why some ethnic neighborhoods survive for decades while FBA neighborhoods are gentrified or erased. Let's break it down. First of all, immigrant enclaves are often economically anchored. Ethnic business networks, places like Little Italy, Chinatown, and Spanish Harlem often have dense networks of family owned businesses, religious institutions, and mutual aid organizations. These businesses own their buildings or have long term leases, making them less vulnerable to being bought out. Long term leases. Interesting. Community wealth circulation. Money circulates within the community. Immigrant landlords rent to immigrant tenants who shop at immigrant owned stores. This creates local economic stability and slows outside takeover. Cheap informal labor. Immigrant businesses often rely on unpaid family labor or undocumented workers willing to work for lower wages. This keeps costs down and makes it possible to operate in areas where a corporate chain might not bother. Here. Okay. So political and cultural leverage. Protected cultural zones. Some cities formally recognize ethnic enclaves as heritage districts. Little Italy, Chinatown, which provides zoning protections or tourism promotion, making displacement politically sensitive. Protection. Voting power growth. As immigrant populations grow, they gain representation on city councils and local boards. This can lead to policies that protect the enclave or resist rezoning that will allow luxury development. Media and optics. So this is media and optics. Developers and politicians. Oh my God. Wait, let me disconnect my phone. Where's my phone? Family, what's up, man? What we doing? CJ says, unfortunately, with all our spending as a whole, FBAs don't have the economic power and are the biggest influencers. Hold on. Let me turn this off. There we go. Okay, good. Oh, that's the wrong one. Oops. Hold on. Oh, shoot. Okay. Let's see if we're good. Let's see if I can hear. I can hear. All right. So now we're here. Media and optics. Developers and politicians are often wary of being accused of destroying culture when targeting a well-known ethnic neighborhood. Sadly, historically, FBA neighborhoods have not been treated with the same level of cultural protection. All right, so that's why I say, man, the media is, they are the liberal media is anti-ICE. I've never seen that same energy for us as consistent as they have it for the immigrant class. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so now FBA neighborhoods are more vulnerable. Property ownership gap. FBAs historically have had lower rates of home ownership due to redlining, because a tether would love to bring that up. A conservative would love to bring that up. We have lower rates of home ownership due to redlining, contract buying scams, and predatory lending. When renters dominate a neighborhood, it is much easier for developers to flip it. Yeah, they attack us on every level, family. Disinvestment. City governments have historically underfunded FBA neighborhoods, infrastructure, schools, policing, which depresses property values. Developers can then buy land cheaply, flip it, and bring in higher income residents. So we're just occupying space, pretty much. They got just occupying space, making it lit. Then folks come over and just buy it up. Um, so now we got a stigma versus culture. FBA neighborhoods were often stigmatized as blighted or dangerous, which justified urban renewal projects and highway construction that displaced residents. Immigrant enclave, by contrast, were sometimes marketed as vibrant or colorful. They're your liberal media. So when conservative media attacks undocumented immigrants and supports ICE, you got liberal media defending them, meeting them halfway. Okay, when conservative media attacks FBAs, call us welfare queens and all type of stuff, thugs, whatever. You don't see that same energy from liberal media coming to our defense and defending us 50-50. Why some immigrants areas still get gentrified? Not all immigrant enclaves are immune. Once land values become extremely lucrative, developers move in. Example, parts of Brooklyn, Williamsburg, and Sunset Park, Puerto Rican, Mexican neighborhoods have been gentrified as artists and young professionals move in. Chinatown, NYC is slowly gentrifying as younger Chinese move to Flushing, and developers convert tenements into luxury condos. The difference is that immigrant enclaves often hold on longer because of collective economic strategies and political lobbying. Peace to Noki, Pinky Wells, Ray Ray, JBZ, Majestic. I see you in the building, Donnie Williams. It was like 1865, Sounds Band 2, Golden Brown. Let's get it. Peace to y'all. I understand. Sometimes if it ain't a rah live, if it's just pure information, which is like, to me, this live is more important than all the other lives I've done. They got all the viewership. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so language and cultural cohesion as a shield. This is what Dr. Claude was talking about in his 2001 Paranomics speech. Language barrier as protection. Ironically, the language barrier FBA Ron mentioned can make these neighborhoods self-contained and less attractive to outsiders, especially early on. White professionals may avoid moving to an area where they feel culturally out of place. Spanish only stores, signage they can't read. This delays gentrification until developers market it as authentic or up and coming. Community organizing. Many immigrant groups are highly mobilized around preserving their enclave, marches, lawsuits, lobbying, city hall. FBA neighborhoods historically had strong activism too, but systemic barriers, disenfranchisement, over policing sometimes fracture those efforts. So, yeah, we are really attacked and targeted to fail. Okay. Okay, so the big picture. The reason Spanish Harlem or Little Italy seem to last forever is not luck. It's ownership patterns, cultural branding, political lobbying, and community cohesion. FBA neighborhoods were historically stripped of those same tools, leaving us far more vulnerable to predatory development and displacement. So it's all about stopping us. So all this we are one, stop it. We're not one. Oh, if you get pulled over, they stop it. We are targeted, not you all. There are documented cases and broader patterns where programs that were designed or disproportionately benefited FBAs were either cut, underfunded, or redirected in ways that ended up disproportionately benefiting immigrants or immigration related efforts. However, it's a complex issue and should be broken down with clarity. So you see that they cut funds for us and reallocated towards immigrants. And when it says immigrants, do not make a mistake and only think Hispanic. These are your brothers from another motherland. Okay, so historical context. Programs aim at Black uplift. Since Reconstruction and especially post 1960 civil rights movement, numerous government programs were established to support the uplift of foundation Black Americans, including affirmative action, equal opportunity employment initiatives, urban development projects, minority small business development programs, historically Black colleges and universities, HBCU funding, targeted job training or workforce development programs, e.g., under CETA, JTPA, and workforce innovation programs. Many of these initiatives were created in response to specific harms done to FBA Americans, FBAs, and were intended to reduce the impact of systemic racism. Many of these initiatives were created in response to specific harms done to FBA. That's why we should never allow to be called minorities or part of the what's the other one? Colored folks. We say, nah, we good. Just say FBA. Okay. So issue. Race now, okay, listen. Now all of a sudden, after the civil rights movement, oh no, you said that the civil rights movement, you said Jim Crow was bad because it was racial. It targeted you because of your color. So anything going forward has to be race neutral. So we got race neutral or minority recast policies. Over time, what often happened was race specific becomes race neutral. Programs created with FBAs in mind were broadened under minority or disadvantaged labels. This allowed immigrants, including voluntary economic migrants, to qualify for programs initially aimed at addressing the harms of American slavery, segregation, and systemic racism. For example, SBA, Small Business Administration programs once targeted FBA's own businesses are now often accessed by immigrant communities, Arab, Asian, Latino entrepreneurs. That's why I say don't focus on just Latinos. Race neutral language in contracting MBE, minority business enterprise, meant that groups with no historical ties to FBO oppression could receive set asides. Okay. Urban aid, immigrants aid, urban revitalization and housing funds in inner cities often inhabited by FBAs were redirected or reprioritized toward areas with high immigrant settlement, e.g., refugee, fleers, resettlement zones, sanctuary cities. Example, in some cities like Minneapolis or Detroit, refugee communities, e.g., Somali, Hmong, or Afghan, became the focus of nonprofit and public-private funding pipelines initially created to help disenfranchised FBA neighborhoods. Education example, HBCUs versus DACA funding. HBCUs have struggled with underfunding for decades. Meanwhile, certain education funding fights, e.g., state funding or scholarships, saw controversy when funds were prioritized for undocumented immigrant students, DACA recipients, over existing low income American born students. And you guys want to fight for illegals? In states like California, scholarships and legal aid were heavily directed to undocumented. These are illegal. We're not just competing with legal immigrants, we're competing with illegal, and we're losing them both. So in states like California, scholarships and legal aid were heavily directed to undocumented immigrants, while HBCU students had to fight just to maintain infrastructure. We got Paul Game in the building. We got Yodi Jones, America. What Yodi talking about? He said Yodi Jones said America equals continent. That's why it's called United States of America, not just United States, IS America. The word of and is makes it different. Okay. Okay. So Golden Brown says, so why don't FBA become bilingual so we can take advantage of immigrants' tether programs? Well, because we're busy working. Like, which one of us got time? The average FBA person is doing overtime. Yeah. Yeah, we're working. We're doing overtime. Like, you just can't become bilingual. That's going to take time. And like I said, who has time? Everybody trying to make money, trying to hustle. And while we working overtime, and then we got kids, and man. And even then, you're bilingual, but guess what? You're not an immigrant. So things that still won't be for you. Once you check Black, African American, yeah, your application going to the bottom or the garbage. So you can learn Spanish. That's like saying, listen, that's like saying, hey, FBAs need to learn proper English and maybe we'll get a job. It's like, who really believes that? You feel me? Who really believes it's about learning to speak the English language more proper or learning Spanish? Who really believes that? You still got to fill out Black, African American. And once they see that, they don't give a damn what language you speak. Once they see that box checked, you're done. That's just my assessment. You dig? But I'm not against being bilingual. I think that could be a strategy for real. I was learning Spanish for that same reason, but like I said, I don't have time. Well, I would love to be in a position where I can donate 3-4 hours a day to learn another language. I'm sure all of us would, but we're not afforded that time and space. A lot of times we're stressed out, and we just want to watch something that take our mind off of reality. You dig? So education example. I think I read that. Yeah, I read that. Yeah, I'm done with that one. Yeah, look, I think what Gordon Brown said, it could be, it is a strategy. You can learn Spanish, and I believe it will help out. But I'm being realistic because I study Spanish, and that's not an easy language to just pick up and like it's not because you need to first of all you need somebody to talk to, to understand it when it's spoken back to you. See, it's easy to say, "¿Qué hora es?" You dig? "¿Cómo te llamas?" It's easy to say that, but when they say it back to you with that strong accent, and fast, do you understand what's being said to you? So it ain't like we got some FBs who speak Spanish in our circles who can help us on our journey. I mean, that would be cool, right? But I actually got a channel I just created. It's called Ron Learn Spanish. That's literally what it's called, right? But do I have time to ever learn Spanish? No. Here, let me show you. So go to Brown. I feel you. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying we don't really have that luxury. But let me show you, brother. I'm definitely ahead of the game. Ron learns Spanish. You dig? I never got around to it because of life. Life is lifing. All right. But yeah, I think it's definitely a dope strategy. I just think that we it's easier than said. Like it has to be outreach programs that teach us, you know. So maybe you can be the one to learn Spanish and create an outreach program that's targeting FBA. So to make sure folks show you their American and me, 23andMe stuff, because you'll have some cosplayers in there trying to join that class. Brother, can you log into American? I keep saying American, brother. Can you log into your 23andMe? What is that, brother? Yeah, all right. Okay, so there's more. Yeah, but I will say learning Spanish will help out. And if you got lucky enough to learn Spanish, I'm sure that's going to be a boost. But that's a shame that that's what we got to do as English native speaking people. But yeah, so I don't think it's a bad idea. I just think it's really hard to just do. It's not like working out or like learning a trade. Like you're learning to speak a language, which a lot of folks it goes back to college ain't for everybody. So that Spanish stuff, that's like a college type of setting. So what happens to us that's not that's say college ain't for everybody? Like a lot of people ain't studious, man. I teach chess, I know. Everybody can't sit down and learn something. Dude, the ADD kick in, they be moving around and what you say? Like, man, if you don't sit your little retarded. All right. So it was a good thought, but unless somebody can learn it and like kind of do what I'm doing, like I'm over here like putting like as I learn it, I'm like making a curricula. So if somebody can do it like that, then and it works, and it would definitely help out a lot. I'm not saying it won't, but what happens if you live in the South? So now yeah, it works for up north and maybe Atlanta and Houston and Florida. But what happens if you live in North Carolina? Ain't no Spanish folks down there. Um. Okay, so let's see. I read that. Okay, Tiger Crane Shakira said FBA News and Updates right. Speaking Spanish is one thing, but when it's spoken back to you, based on the example you gave, can you understand when it's spoken back to you? No. And that's why they encourage you to like listen to like listen to a movie you know pretty well in Spanish. You did or have it the captions on. See, I'm you know um yeah, again, that's a good idea if those who can get that done. But it's not a solution like that for the race because a lot of us, for the lineage, 'cause a lot of us just don't have that time. The luxury. Ray Ray said, I made my son drop Spanish for Latin. I don't know if you'd have done that, buddy. I need to learn why he did that. I think he should have kept learning Spanish. Spanish is easier than learning STEM. Oh, David Mac L. Wayne says the closest HBCU near me is Cheney University in PA. They dropped athletics a few years ago. Really? Wow. Yeah, I know two friends who were down there for, well, one did. One went down there. I think it was basketball. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was non-athletic. Gordon Brown said, "Didn't say Spanish. I could teach you my people. I could teach you." Oh, he said, "I didn't say Spanish. I could teach you my people language of the Yahoo." Um, Carlos Maggis said, "Good evening. Good evening to you. A lot of Nazis went down to South America to settle." Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of KKK or plantation owners went to Brazil to settle. If I didn't know, we're just too kind, even when they show us they hate us. Right, right. It's just in our spirit to be kind. But just to evolve or get left behind, you have to adapt to your world. Yeah, I agree. I agree. That's why I say, well, where's my charger? I agree. I agree with Golden Brown. Learning Spanish is a plus, but it ain't easy. It ain't like you're saying like learn how to cut grass. It ain't easy. You could set your goal to do that, but I don't mean you're gonna be any good at it. Okay, so where was I? I think I hope I ain't. See, I read all that. I read all that. Read all that. Read that. That was here. Um, Contrast, no official removal of HBCU funds, but immigrant protections and aid rose faster and were politically prioritized. Oh, did I read this already? The workforce development and job training. Chat funny. Okay, so example, Workforce Investment Act, Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, WIOA. Earlier programs, e.g., JTPA, SETA, CETA, gave grants and targeted training for inner city youth, veterans, and unemployed workers, largely benefiting FBAs. Under WIOA 2014, training funds became more decentralized and categorized by low income, displaced, or limited English. Wow. Which widened access to immigrant population, especially recent arrivals. So why the hell will we be pro this stuff against ICE? When it's undocumented, given it's the biggest challenge, biggest headache. Many local American job centers now serve large numbers of immigrant clients, often with translated materials and multilingual services. Wow. Net result, race neutralism diluted original reparative design. Damn. Race neutral killed us. Legal aid and civil rights resources. Example, civil rights division and legal aid shifts. Legal aid once heavily focused on racial discrimination, e.g., housing, employment, school integration. Over time, legal nonprofits increasingly focus on immigration rights, deportation defense, and language access. In cities like New York, LA, and San Francisco, millions in legal funding goes toward immigrant defense, while long-standing FBA-led housing discrimination cases stall due to lack of capacity. Damn. Critical detail. FBAs are still disproportionately impacted by legal injustice, but receive less activist litigation attention than immigrant groups. Wow, they surpassed. They became the they became a priority. Wow. So quantifying the shift, with example, funding contracts, everything I just spoke. So y'all can screenshot that, whatever, if you want. But that's kind of like everything I just read. Okay. So conclusion, what the evidence shows. There is strong historical and policy evidence that FBA targeted race-based programs were weakened under race-neutral standards. Funding redirected toward immigrants or broad multicultural programs, sometimes through deliberate policy change, other times by demographic shift. No federal law explicitly stripped FBAs of programs to fund immigrants, but cumulative impact, displacement, and benefits. Current law, HHS programs and immigration status. HHS oversees many programs, Medicaid, CHIP, Children's Health Insurance Program, TANF, temporary assistance for needy families, Head Start, etc. under existing federal law. Most undocumented immigrants have never been eligible for Medicaid except emergency care, CHIP, SNAP food stamps, and much cash assistance programs. They can sometimes access emergency medical treatment because of EMTALA law. Hospitals must stabilize patients regardless of status. Public health services like vaccines, prenatal care, and disaster relief. So, if HHS issues a formal ban or clarification, is likely reaffirming current restrictions rather than creating entirely new ones. How American citizens can benefit from this: preservation of program funds. If undocumented immigrants are further restricted from programs, more funding stays available for eligible citizens and legal residents. For example, Medicaid budgets could stretch further if only qualified recipients are covered. Okay, reduce political backlash. Some taxpayers complain that benefits are being used by illegal immigrants. A ban addresses that perception and could reduce tension over funding increases for citizens. Stronger verification systems, a tighter eligibility checks may reduce fraud or duplicate enrollments, indirectly benefiting citizens by keeping programs solvent. Okay, potential downsides for citizens, public health risks. Excluding undocumented populations for preventative care can lead to untreated diseases spreading, tuberculosis, measles, COVID. This can increase emergency care costs that taxpayers still bear. Administrative costs, more restrictive rules mean more paperwork, more verification, and sometimes longer delays for everyone, including citizens, to access services. I found out today the hard way. Mixed status families, U.S. born children and of undocumented parents are citizens, but parents may be afraid to apply for benefits on their behalf. This can lead to higher child poverty rates and worse health outcomes in communities. Bottom line, HHS already excludes undocumented immigrants from most taxpayer-funded programs. A ban or formal policy would most likely reaffirm existing practice. With some tightening of eligibility verification, citizens could benefit from more targeted program spending and stronger program integrity, but public health risks and access barriers might rise, potentially creating higher long-term costs for everyone. Well, there you go. So that was today's presentation, and all that started from one question. Because when I came back to Jersey, I'm in a city that was usually like predominantly like FBA, and it's like I'm the only black person I ever see every day walking, I'm like, damn, what the hell happened over here? So, and I've been thought like that, but today I'm like, wait a minute, how is that even possible? How is it possible one race could be somewhere and be forced out, and the race that replaced them ain't even like better off? They're not like wealthy. I could see if that was a bunch of wealthy Indians, bunch of wealthy Nigerians, or white people to replace us. I'm like, wait a minute, the people replacing us, like these guys come from poor countries. How the hell are they replacing us and to that level? to that rate. I'm like, nah, something up with this. So I just asked one, I researched one question I had in mind. And that led to a whole bunch of other questions that led to this live. That's how that happened. Ricardo Flats. Okay. Yeah, I think that's good information. I was able to, finish quickly, not stay up late like I've been recently. I just got lucky with it. Able to go live, now I feel better. Because I've been going live late in the evening, losing sleep. But this makes way more sense. Now I'm done. If I want to go live again, I can. They do a new live. I can. And just formatting what I just read. Everything else makes sense. I'm probably gonna read this more often so I could be like well versed in this. I feel like this is gonna be a topic of debate one day. I might need to study this. They are already on the Supreme Court, Ray Ray said. Picky, your response to each other. I got it. Picky Will said, out here they caught illegals getting welfare for children. Not there. That's crazy. And living in Central and South America. Really? Wow. So they want to see the children like people can show them other people's children. Damn. These guys are good. These people from South Border are coming from cartel oppressed regions and usually are cutthroat mules. They'll do anything to replace us. Yeah, I believe that. All right. So, family, I appreciate y'all. I'm off early enough. Maybe I can do another live. You know, let me just look at the topics. I do, you know what? This give me enough time. I do want to address. I do want to address some things. Yeah, so family, man, these people, I read that. So family, I love you guys. I'm so glad you pulled up. Hope you learned something. I hope there was something to take away from this. I think the chat agrees. Learning Spanish can't be bad. It cannot hurt. It can only help your current situation. But again, learning Spanish ain't no 3 month, 6 month thing. You dig? I'm guessing is how much effort you put into it. I'm only saying that because I'm somebody who was studying Spanish, and it's tough. It's tough when you get to those past tense, you dig words and things like that. It gets tough. 'Cause a lot of stuff is just based off memory. Like there's no technique. You just gotta remember that this is the rule for these words. Like the stem changing words. There's no way that it just you don't know. You got to study the words and know which ones are and aren't. Okay, family. But man, much love. And maybe you know what? You know what you do? Speaking of learn Spanish, how about we do a live? We learn Spanish together. You dig? Because I got a whole bunch of stuff. I wish you could see my book. I got a whole book I printed out some years ago from Staples. I did my own Spanish book I was reading until I got distracted. Yeah, man, we could do it together. Now, I'm rusty, of course, but I'm like way far more advanced than the average FBA because I already tried this some years ago when I seen the jobs heading that way. And as a Nation Islam member, like, hey, man, no, I'm sorry, I'm lying. It was a brother, ex, um, ex hustler, like, yo, man, you better learn some Spanish out here. And this was like 15 years ago. And I was so offended at him. I ain't learning no damn Spanish. He talking about that's some coon shit. Just to come around, like, you know what? I thought about it. You know, you might be onto something. It's like 15. This is like within that week. I came back. I'm like, you might be onto something, bro. I was mad at you, but you might be onto something. And I started to study from there. Picked up pretty fast. But like I said, I got distracted. I just stopped. Never went back. All right, Chicago FBA says, Atencio, señor. Ron, por favor, mis hombre. Yeah, I can read still a little bit. And guys, I learned how to read Greek also. So, but yeah, look at what they do in Nebraska now. Like, put us on RA Chicago FBA. I don't want to learn Spanish. Y'all have fun. Yeah, no, it's a tough. Any language to learn is tough. They got their own rules and syntax, the do's and don'ts. It's tough. And Spanish, you got sir, you got estar. You gotta learn when to use that. You dig? It's the pronouns, the possessive pronouns that RA Chicago just used there with mis, hombre. Look at the link you said. Okay, I see it. Hold on. Let me click that. Let me click that link. Hombre. Let me click that link. True Pilgrim. I see Satchel, Ohio. Sounds bad too. And True Pilgrim 777. I own a construction company and you got to know Spanish. Yeah, one of my boys worked with a lot of Spanish people in Jersey and he speaks Spanish fluent. You know how jealous I was, like, mother. Let me see what you got. I was so jealous. Like, you learned Spanish? But yeah, he learned it on the job. I was like Pinky was at some point. I was like, man, I ain't learning this stuff after a while. Okay, let me play this video that you sent.
Hey guys, welcome to Bonehead Truckers. I have got some breaking news here. I'm the news.
Oh, hello.
That kind of just slid to us over here on the old Lex machine right here. And, well, let me just say, you read the title. You read it right. Let's dive into it. This should get your blood boiling if you are an American truck driver. Kenya secures American jobs deal for truck drivers through Nebraska partnership. Okay, you see that? Listen, don't mind that Schneider truck. That has nothing to do with Schneider that I'm aware of. Maybe someone else that's in Nebraska, totally different color. But we'll talk about that. Kenya has entered into a groundbreaking labor mobility agreement with Nebraska State that will open doors for Kenyan truck drivers to work legally in the United States. The timing of this agreement is particularly significant given President Trump's administration's heightened restrictions on illegal immigrations to the United States. The Nebraska deal ensures that Kenyan drivers will follow proper visa procedures and legal channels to enter and work in America, with participants requiring to meet all visa conditions and return to Kenya upon completion. The deal signed on Tuesday between Principal Secretary for Diaspora Affairs Roseline Njogu, and Nebraska Secretary of State Robert Evnen specifically targets licensed commercial truck drivers amid the significant shortage of truck drivers across America. Are you kidding? Can I say this again? If we had such a driver shortage, don't you think that truck drivers would get paid more? Don't you think that you'd have the rates would be better? Don't you think that there'd be freaking freight sitting at the docks and brokers calling you, please come pick this up, we'll pay you anything. You'll have trucking companies calling people so they say, hey.
Yeah, this country's they're for sale. Folks do not want the American citizens to level up. And they are for sale. Cheap labor. Here you go. And that's why they gotta be held in check. Tiger Crane Shakir, $5 super chat, Lineage Love in the building. Thank you, brother. He said, I used to think like that. Living in France did it for me. In fact, learning French improved my Spanish. We must be polyglots at this point in time, brother Ron. Yeah, I'll say learning English definitely helped. And I'm sorry, I messed up. Learning Spanish helped me learn how to speak English better. I know that sounds crazy, but yes, learning Spanish helped me learn to speak English better. And because I learned like the basics of Spanish, it made it easier to read Greek because it was like similar rules. It was kind of easy. And then I'm used to the rules. I'm used to having rules, syntaxes, right? It wasn't no longer like foreign to me. So I was very interested to learn the syntaxes for Greek, how they were different from Spanish. So that's why when you guys say, "Oh, Negro is black" and all that stupid stuff, I'm like, okay. Oh, it comes to Latin, really. So that's interesting because I thought it came from the Greece, the language Greek, because it's in there. And Greek is, from what I know, before Latin, before Spanish. So they call it Niger. So in a Greek is Niger. Okay. But I love to have that conversation when people go there. Oh, black, Negro, okay. And they be just repeating what they heard from somebody else. Nothing they actually researched on their own. Picky Will said there will be a lot of truck driver jobs open. A lot of foreign truckers can't speak English are being taken off the streets. Man, but these Kenyan folks can speak some English. And look, my main thing with that is that it's not even like the fact they got the contract. I ain't worried about that because at the end of the contract they go back, so it's whatever. My thing is their driving ability on these public roads. That's my thing. That's my concern. That's not just Kenya. It's foreign people. Period. Like they have a horrible reputation of driving on American public roads. The bottom line is that they can't drive. All right, that's what I'm trying to say. They can't drive. So, Buddy in the video makes some good points of what America should be doing, what the trucking industry should be doing to, rates increase because the work is needed. But Kenyon said, hey, let us get that contract. We'll help you out. We'll pick up where these Spanish folks dropped the boat at. Not the Spanish folks. No, because the truck driver guy was Indian. So he said, hey, man, we'll pick up where the undocumented, illegal truck drivers left off at. Ray said, no. Pick Latin, Old Latin, then Greek, then Latin, my dude. I don't know about that. You got to source up with that one. All right, Chicago FBA. Because I could have sworn the Latin came after Greek. ICE been taking down truckers, drivers all day here in Illinois. No, it's can you comprehend the signs? They can't read them. They just can't drive. Like everything about them just annoys me. They can't drive and they can't read the street signs. They're still darkies to white supremacists because they don't have the same standard for driving in their country. Yeah, that to me that's troublesome. Because in that country, like, don't they just ride dirt bikes and small little cars that you could just kick over with your feet? One is the absolute worst trucking company in America. We had a lot of tethers show up for loads at our facilities. They even piss off the white folks too, with some of the white tethers Latinists for law school. So that's interesting. Thank you. You did good. You drank it up. Mm-hmm. All right. They can't read and they park everywhere all day, causing accidents. Yeah, the parking. Oh my God. I got a short video on my channel showing the parking. It's ridiculous. Say they better stick to driving donkeys. FBA must learn to make our brains versatile with language barrier. Yeah, we're in trouble, man. The whole country's against us. Man, they over there building cars out of trees and yeah, we gotta do something. Matter of fact, almost any solution, any strategy is probably worthy of pursuing. Because right now, just being where we at and doing what we're doing every day, obviously ain't working. Like we got organizations and institutions working against us, helping other folks, helping immigrants level up, get ahead, stay in front of us. So we know now that it's personal. We always knew it was, but we were lied to. The black and brown coalition and all this stuff, this colored minority stuff. But we just read it. We just read nah. Opportunities that was available for us wasn't made, you know, widely known. No targeted outreach, no outreach programs. But once Hispanics came into our neighborhoods, those programs now were part of an outreach program for Hispanics to learn them. And guess what? They didn't speak English, so they were able to like talk in broad daylight and tell them about put it on signs, you know what I mean? Put it on flyers. But because we couldn't read English, we couldn't take advantage of none of those programs. I'm sorry, because we couldn't read Spanish, we couldn't take advantage of those programs. But at that time, we thought folks who come to the country, immigrants, was supposed to learn English. Like Obama said it. Obama said, "Hey, man, in my immigration laws, when they come over here, they're gonna learn to speak English." So they were lying to us. That's why we really ain't learned Spanish like that. We were lied to. Obama said they will have to learn English. So we like, all right, cool. I ain't got to speak Spanish. He lullabied us to sleep. Let me read some comments here. We didn't know. Now we do. The universe came right on time. RA Chicago FBA said this issue is that there are no shortage of drivers. My CDL school I graduated from kicked out 30 drivers per week. What was it meant? Okay. Truckers are quitting because they're not paying. Yeah, I got a friend who drives trucks and he ain't getting called right now, and he was saying like the pay ain't. You got folks taking a half or a quarter or a third of what you would normally make. Can't compete with that. Cannot compete. Like Dr. Claude Anderson said, you cannot compete. Noki good. On minimum. Noki good. Jokes. Let's write down a 24/7 undermining. 24/7. Trying to think. Get another couple noodles. All right, family. Let me get off here because if I go to sleep now, I will be back live possibly around like 4 a.m. Because once I go to bed this early, 10, 11, I usually wake up very early. So I want to tackle. So I see Tariq that she been uploading a lot of videos where white folks been using the per capita lie and then questioning our intelligence. Both of those are my strengths, the per capita lie and the IQ thing. Like I study that stuff religiously. So I want to make a video debunking that, which I already did, but since they keep doing it, let me do a part 2 or a second edition, page 492 of the Black Law edition. Damn, 1,000 miles. Spanish, Arabic, Mandarin, Korean are 4 out of 7 languages that one should know. So that's to help keeping up times. Yeah, it's fat definitely. You can learn Mandarin. That's crazy. Yeah. Ursa Mahan World says FBA fam love y'all. He stay posting lives. Yeah, he be busy over there. Tariq. Yeah, so family, let me go catch up on those latest lives that Tariq had debating the white supremacists. And I want to go and like debunk all of the lies about the per capita crime rate, all that stuff, put it in proper context. I'm gonna make it like a cool collaboration of videos of them guys saying the craziest stuff. All right, family. So I get out here now. I might be able to go live super early. Who knows? In between 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Cause I'm very tired. Cause you see this morning, I went live like 10 to 10:30, which is like rare. But that's me not getting sleep. All right, family. The likes are good. Yo, the late crew. It's crazy. I hardly ever say like the video with the late crew. Like they just like the video. You dig? The morning crew be some crazy stuff, man. All right, family. Have a great night. Enjoy it. I'll see some of y'all in the morning for the great grand rising. Peace. How you close this live? Here we go.